to our two-part year in review edition of the Marne Report.
We're taking a look back at 2014 and reviewing our top stories.
Let's start in the beginning of the year. Our first story focuses on the 467th and 468th Warriors Walk tree dedications. 2 Vanguard soldiers were honored and remembered along Warriors Walk. The soldiers are remembered fondly for their honor, courage, and selfless sacrifice.
It was a windy and cold morning on Fort Stewart as soldiers, family members, and friends gathered to perform a tree dedication ceremony to honor the lives of 2 Vanguard soldiers who were killed in action while deployed to Afghanistan late last year. Major General Mike Murray, commander of the 3rd Infantry Division, spoke at the ceremony, where he addressed the bravery and selfless service that Specialist James Whitcliffe and Sergeant First Class Forrest Robertson displayed during their time with the 3rd Infantry Division.
The love, the honor, and the respect we feel for these 2 great soldiers will not fade into the night, nor will it fade with time. We owe it to these 2 outstanding young men to live up to the examples they have set for all of us. The flags along Warriors Walk remind us of the nation that we also proudly serve, and the generations of America who are forever indebted to these outstanding individuals and young men.
Specialist Whitcliffe was known for his generosity and kind heart, a heart that his friend Kevin McGrew remembers well.
He was like a brother to me. I could just look at him and you'd know what I was thinking. He would give his last dollar for me if I didn't have anything. He laid his life down for me and his brothers, and that's the greatest thing that he could give to me.
Captain Robert Heitchu remembers how Sergeant Robertson, more affectionately known as Sergeant Rob, was able to talk openly with just about anybody.
He could tell the squadron commander or the company commander or the lowest private exactly what he was thinking in a way that made it sound like you needed to do better, but at the same time allowed you to know that he loved you and that he cared about you.
Reporting for the 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, I'm Sergeant Amanda Rengifo.
The 3rd Infantry Division hosted a visit by the Secretary of the Army. Staff Sergeant Gwendolyn Young shows us what the visit was all about.
Secretary of the Army John McHugh recently met with senior leaders and soldiers at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield.
The Gray Eagle facility I visited, I'm talking to a young man who'd been an engineer and been repairing these things for about a year. I asked him what you were doing before the past year when you learned this skill. He goes, I was driving a tractor. It's just amazing to me to see soldiers of such a young age take on these complex challenges and do them expertly. You know, this is an Army at a time of great transition. We're coming out of our last, and hopefully for some time, final theater of war. The budgetary changes and challenges that we're facing are significant. And we are an Army that is needing to think about itself in different ways and needing to plot ahead a future that is clouded and is uncertain.
Stepping foot for the first time in the cockpit of an AH-64 Apache Longbow helicopter, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Tony Byrne gives Secretary of the Army an overview of the aircraft. He also took time out of his busy schedule to visit Fort Stewart's historic memorial, Warriors Walk. While acknowledging there are a lot of tough times ahead, Secretary of the Army is confident we can meet those challenges. Reporting from Fort Stewart, Georgia, I'm Staff Sergeant Gwendolyn Young.
Controlled burns were underway across Fort Stewart in February, and while most of us saw them from the road, here's your chance to see them from the sky. Photojournalist Zach Renstrom has more on this bird's eye view of the task.
About 5 months ago, we started planning these burns. We started in the middle of August. This burn right here particularly was done to reduce fuel along the highway to reduce the chance of a wildfire. We started this morning, we gathered 5 different weather forecasts, and we realized that we had a great opportunity to burn this buffer break on 144 West due with the winds. The winds were going to be out of the south all day today and all tonight, which will keep that smoke off the highway. We're mostly doing this right along here is just to reduce the hazardous fuels. But most of the times you got the palmetto gallberry type, which is a very waxy fuel, and that's going to burn. it is going to burn extremely hot and give off a lot of black smoke. And then you have your wiregrass and your flash fuels out here, which is your 1 hour fuels, your grass, your fine grasses that burn intense for a short period of time. But out here, as you can see, we had pretty much a lot of wax myrtle out here, and so that burns pretty intense. But the baseline is an area that we just want to set up so when the fire does come to it, there's nothing left to burn, so it don't jump into a block that is not ready to be burned yet. The people come out on the ground. We have a little brief safety meeting on the ground. And as you can tell, we go out here and we have to safety some of this stuff on the ground. Light posts, telephone pedestals, we either have to pre-burn around them or we rake around them to safety so they don't catch on fire. We use the terror torch to light our baseline. The baseline backs into the fire, into the wind, so it creates a safety black line so when the fire does come to it, it does not jump across the road. In our prescription, we always have weather parameters. But what we try to do is we try to do it in a favorable. The humidity is in a safe area, which generally is around 40 to 50% relative humidity. The fuel moisture is around 10%. The winds along this highway, you want to try to get 8 to 10 miles per hour to keep the smoke off the highway. Those are favorable weather conditions. Unfavorable ones is usually when we have the fires out here, the wildfires. Those are when the humidities get around 20% and you got a 30-mile-an-hour wind. That's when it's going to burn. Believe me, these woods are going to burn out here. It's not the question if they're going to burn, it's when they're going to burn. We want to burn them in a favorable time with favorable weather conditions. Depending upon the objectives and the goals of the burn, burning is conducted, especially in the southeast, all year long. But out here on Fort Stewart, most of our burning starts around December 1st and usually ends by the end of June. We try to burn the training areas every 3 years. The live fire ranges we burn every year to reduce the fuels, but these training woods we burn every 3 years on a 3-year rotation. One of the reasons is to reduce those fuels and keep them down for safety. The soldiers can train out here a lot safer when the woods are clean than it is grown up in brush. Before we leave, we'll go around with that terror torch and make sure the perimeter is black lined best as it could burn with that terror torch. So if something does happen, everything's black lined around the fire, and so there's nothing left to burn. The good news is in 2 weeks, this player area right here will start having green grass in it already. Within about 2 weeks, you'll start seeing new growth out there already. And so that's what you want. In a few years, a couple of years when we come back here, we'll burn that again. So it's going to regenerate and have new growth.
If you thought the drive from Fort Stewart to Fort Benning was far, imagine walking it. That's just what a soldier did with family and friends to honor a loved one who happened to be a wounded warrior. Faux journalist Zach Renstrom was there as the group began their 222-mile walk.
Today is a culmination of 4 months of planning. Right now we're going to start our 222-mile walk from here to the National Infantry Museum. We're doing it in honor of my brother-in-law, Joshua Hargis. Joshua was a Ranger out of 375, and he was wounded on October 6, 2013 during operations in Afghanistan. Well, after Josh was wounded, we went and made sure that my sister was okay. And then after that, the family sat down and said, what could we do? So let's go for a walk, and how far could we possibly go? And we coordinated with my command and family and friends and decided that from here to there would be the best idea. And 222 miles is a long way, but not too long to break everybody off on the way out there, but just long enough for people to actually realize that what we're doing is something special. Today we're actually going to do 21 miles, and it'll be 12 of us walking, and then the next day it'll be 17, and from there on out it's anywhere from 12 to 19 for the rest of the time that we're doing. And then the last day, March 4th, we're actually going to do the last 4 miles together with anyone, open invite, family and friends. We'll be popping tents along the way, staying in fields next to churches, farmhouses, and things like this along the way. Preparation was literally just practice walking. That's been the biggest thing that we're doing because we're covering such a long distance in such a short period of time.
Our family's got a great respect for the military, number one. Number two, you know, Josh is part of our family, and everybody that's in our family knows, and those around us, how important it is to make sure that everybody understands how well we support one another. Fortunately, you know, for us, we've got a pretty darn tight-knit family. And my oldest boy, Patrick, stepped up to the plate when all this stuff happened and said, you know, we got to do something. And he started formulating this plan and putting everything together, and God bless him for doing it. And then things just started falling into place. And of course, his mother and I and his brother, you know, we all want to step in and play our part and do our role. And now it's just blossomed into this, and here we are today. All of my children have a great deal of character. And Mother and I are very proud of all of them. And I don't think we can say enough words about both of our sons and our daughter, as well as our son-in-law and all the rest of the people that we have here that are close to our family. And there would have been many others here that wanted to come on this walk, but logistically it just wasn't going to be possible. Thank goodness we have a bunch of people all around us and all over the place, and people who have stepped up to the plate who don't even know us. Have done some great things. Everywhere in the United States we'd be getting support. I'm retired from Fort Myers Police Department. Being a SWAT member, our SWAT team stepped up and did a run down there, since obviously they couldn't come here, and completed it in 40 hours, 222 miles full back. So I mean, people are stepping up all over the place.
Josh, he's a soldier. He's the epitome of what a Ranger is. He's a quiet professional. He doesn't want all the attention that he's receiving, but I think it's due, and you know, I think that what he's getting is deserved for the sacrifices that he laid down for this country and all men and women that go downrange and defend this country.
Even though Patrick, when he put this together, was for Josh, the one thing that, you know, this resonates with everybody is things are still not over. There's a lot of young men and women that are coming back that have the same type, similar injuries, and some that are a lot worse. We want to continue to do something like this for all of our people here that have been in the military, that have had these type of injuries take place. It's important that they understand, you know, we do care. And there is a lot of people around the country that do care and that are stepping up to the plate, not just for my son-in-law, but for all the soldiers.
St. Patrick's Day is a big deal here in the Coastal Empire, and ceremonies and events over several days involved our 3rd ID soldiers and other service members. Photojournalist Zach Renstrom was at the Sergeant William Jasper wreath-laying ceremony that led up to the Irish celebrations.
Today's celebration is one wherein we take a look at Irish heritage and how it has affected the United States military throughout our history. William Jasper was an American patriot during the Revolution, lived to be 29 years old. There are 3 events that he's well remembered for. One of those events took place at Charleston, where he saved the day pretty much for the batteries that were there defending Charleston Harbor against the British. That was early in the Revolution. A second took place when he and another sergeant here close to Savannah, at a place that's now called Jasper Spring, freed a group of prisoners which were being brought to Savannah. Savannah at the time was held by the British, presumably to be tried and executed. And then the third is the one that the statue behind us reflects. He led a brave attack toward the Spring Hill Redoubt here in Savannah on October the 9th, 1779. He took his new nation's flag, or his unit's colors, from a wounded man, and with it he led a brave attack on enemy positions. He used the flag to rally the troops and tried to plant the flag on the side of the fort. He was mortally wounded during the attack, but he refused to surrender and refused to give up the flag. Instead, he managed to get it back to his lines before he collapsed, wounded and dying. Another American patriot came forward, took that flag from him, and the way we look at it today is that that flag is still figuratively passed from one American patriot to another, and the men and women who are currently in the armed forces wearing the uniforms are the ones who carry it and continue to wave it in defiance of tyranny and injustice. For men who have won the Medal of Honor, their actions were so brave, so heroic, that they turned the tides of battle, shaped the events of a war. And we need to remember that the events which have helped America maintain its freedom has been largely shaped by men like this.
It is very important for me to be here because this is my last official wreath-laying ceremony as the Division Sergeant Major. And this ceremony will sum up over 33 years of active military service. It's heartfelt, and it is an event that even after retirement, I will continue to come here and pay homage at this monument.
This ceremony does directly reflect the men and women in the military, and it also gives us a time, one single day, to reflect. In the midst of all the celebrations, this is the serious part of this holiday period for Savannah, the 2nd largest St. Patrick's Day in the United States. It's so important that you take one portion of that event and dedicate it to a reflection such as this, for a non-commissioned officer, might I add.
1st Brigade soldiers made a splash in Atlanta during the Spartan race competition. Sergeant Alexandra Shea has more.
For this day we fight, and we prepare you for that battle. I will ask a very simple question. Who am I? To which you shall respond, I am a Spartan. Who am I? Go!
This is how the Spartan Sprint begins, but it's a far cry from your usual 4.2-mile trail run. This run involves obstacles and a whole lot of mud designed to challenge your mind, body, and spirit. As obstacle and mud runs become more and more popular, how does this race distinguish itself from all the others? Here's one 1st Brigade soldier's answer.
I think the obstacles really give you something more to concentrate on. It's not just going out and doing a lot of running. The races like this is really more about getting everyone through the course and working together, but actually getting to have some fun with it. So it makes for a great team building exercise. Definitely a lot of cleanup, but otherwise, you know, Georgia mud, kind of bread and butter for an infantryman. I'm actually looking to start training for one of the longer mud races.
The Atlanta race drew almost 10,000 participants from across 4 states over the weekend, as well as soldiers from 5 different military bases, all for the love of mud and the rise to glory. Reporting for 1st Armored Brigade, I'm Army Sergeant Alexandra Shea.
Why didn't you answer the phone? No, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you telling me, oh, I'm in formation. Oh, my phone's on vibrate. I can't answer in formation. No, I'm tired of this.
Sergeant will definitely give
Oh, yeah, my platoon sergeant. When is this gonna stop? Were you talking to her again?
I don't even know who you're talking
You're
about.
lying. You're lying.
There's no.
I know you've been talking to her. I looked through your phone. I saw the text.
That's my platoon sergeant.
Whose phone number was that then?
That's my platoon sergeant.
Oh, you have a new platoon sergeant. No, that's.
You just got to the unit.
No, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of this.
Central Tango 1, show us out at 7414.
Roger, Tango 1, 1009.
Roger, we actually hear some disturbance. We're approaching right now. We'll notify when we have more information.
Roger, ma'am, be advised. There's no weapons registered to the quarters. How copy?
Good copy.
Specialist Smith, get down on the ground. Get down on the ground now. Turn around, turn around, turn around.
Cross our ankles, do it now.
Interlace your fingers, put them on top of your head. Do it now.
Let go of your hands. Let go. Let go. Get up. Specialist Smith, at this time we are apprehending you for the suspected murder of your husband, child endangerment, and domestic violence. Do you understand?
If you or someone you know may be a victim of domestic violence, don't wait until it's too late. Call us for help.
In March, Vanguard soldiers spent a week sharpening their skills on the Raven unmanned aerial system. Soldiers with the 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team recertified on the Raven unmanned aerial system March 20th at Fort Stewart, Georgia. Operators are required to fly every 150 days to stay qualified.
We got operators from every battalion that we could. It's actually pretty good because we're able to rotate through not just our trained crews that we have within our companies and battalions, but also match up with people throughout the brigade.
Raven is a very perishable skill. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So we need to get out here at least monthly and get some proficiency training going on. That way everybody stays proficient, and when somebody does need to use the Raven, everybody's going to be ready to use it.
A two-man crew operates this rucksack portable system. Experience and communication are the keys to success, according to one established Raven team.
I feel really comfortable with it. I have a lot of flight hours in, and like I said, a lot of situations where you have to do some creative flight just to maintain the word and to keep it from crashing.
But mainly communication with your flying partner. Because just one little word here and there, and sometimes you already know what the other person's doing, working with a team as much as what we have.
For 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division Public Affairs, I'm Sergeant Bob Yarbrough. In April, infantrymen from across 3rd ID and the state competed for the coveted Expert Infantryman's Badge. Infantrymen from the 3rd Infantry Division, as well as the 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team of the Georgia Army National Guard, tested their competence and resolve to earn the coveted Expert Infantryman's Badge during testing from March 30th to April 3rd at Camp Oliver in Fort Stewart, Georgia. Candidates were assessed using the Army Physical Fitness Test, day and night land navigation courses, tests on weapons mastery skills, individual tactical test lanes, and a 12-mile foot march.
It was hard. It was good training. The guys, you know, we had good camaraderie all throughout, supporting each other, motivating each other. I wish we could have gotten the whole group all the way through, but I'll be there supporting the guys for the next DIB. I'll be with them the entire time.
Although this was a division-level event, the Vanguard Brigade lived up to their motto by being out front and spearheaded this year's EIB testing. 3rd Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment led soldiers from throughout 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team to set up the testing lanes. The candidates of 4th Brigade showed the Vanguard spirit by having the most passing candidates with a total of 51 new EIB holders. 1st Brigade had 5, 2nd Brigade had 25, 3rd Brigade had 11, and the Georgia Army National Guard's 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team had 2 new EIB holders.
It sets you apart from your peers, and this is the first time I've been out here to do it, and getting the first try is pretty, I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
I just got to tell you, if you've never been through an EIB test, it's hard to understand.
For 4th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division Public Affairs, I'm Sergeant Bob Yarbrough.
They say you shouldn't wear white before Memorial Day, but for this event, it was encouraged. Army Sergeant Russell Tuff explains more.
On your mark, get set, go. Hundreds of people gathered at Holbrook Pond to take part in Fort Stewart's first ever color run. The family-friendly, non-competitive event featured a 5-kilometer course that took runners through stations so that they could be covered in various colored powders. And while some participants did strive for beating the clock, most were just looking to get dirty. The event was a way for the base to find a different approach to boosting unit morale and encouraging fitness. The goal was achieved as the maximum number of allowed participants was reached, among them Corporal Daniel Albee from 369 and his wife Katie.
I mean, it was a good start on the terrain, you know, pavement. Then when it hit off-road, oh yeah, it got tough, especially pushing a stroller.
It was hard to breathe, but my son loved it, we loved it. It was a good motivator to go through and have everyone throwing stuff at you.
The event had been planned since December, and most in attendance said that they enjoyed the creativity of the event and would keep an eye out for future MWR events like this one.
That was a lot of fun to get out and enjoy the outdoors and see everybody.
It was fun, you know, it was good fun. Good family time, and it was exercise, so it's always a good thing.
Reporting for 1st Armored Brigade, I'm Army Sergeant Russell Tuff.
Over the last decade, the 3rd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division, has been one of the most frequently deployed units in the U.S. Army. Now, as Northcom's first regionally aligned force, things don't seem to be slowing down for the Sledgehammer Brigade. Army Sergeant Peter Holzer tells us how an event called Hammer Week is helping those soldiers continue to move forward at full speed.
This is Hammer Week, a week-long sports competition between 6 battalions. But there's more going on here than just friendly rivalries. These soldiers are getting the chance to spend some time with their families and with each other, strengthening their bonds and rekindling their spirits.
Pretty much having fun. I think that's the basic of it all. And being there for each other and being involved in something as a group instead of, you know, the day-to-day work thing. We're pretty much just here supporting each other and having a good time while doing so, and it brings us all together.
Well, the commander's intent is just to provide opportunity for the soldiers to, you know, let off a little steam, relax a bit, have some additional time off to spend with their families.
Returning from back-to-back deployments, working long hours, and dealing with frequent absences from families due to training, morale isn't just a luxury for these soldiers, it's an operational necessity. And sometimes, it can be hard to come by.
After this, we all know it is going to get busy. It is going to get real busy here. We're going to prep for training, we're going to work some weekends, we're going to do a lot of stuff.
That's one of the reasons events like Hammer Week are critical to the brigade's continued success. And while after 10 events and several close calls, one battalion did rise above the rest.
The commander's cup for the Hammer Week goes to 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment.
When the competition was finally over, thanks to a lot of food and fun, everyone came out on top. Reporting from Kelly Hill at Fort Benning, Georgia, I'm Army Sergeant Peter Holzer.
Actor Gary Sinise, who's been entertaining troops for a decade, stopped by Fort Stewart in April. Army Sergeant Russell Tuff caught all the action.
For the first time since 2011, actor and musician Gary Sinise brought his Lieutenant Dan band to Fort Stewart. Despite rain forcing the concert to be moved inside to Newman Gym, over 1,000 people still came out to enjoy the free concert. Sinise made the Lieutenant Dan Band a part of his nonprofit foundation in 2011. Its mission is to serve military, veteran, and first responder communities by entertaining, boosting morale, and raising funds wherever needed.
I had a good time playing here a couple of times, and we're glad to be back. Sorry for the weather, but the show must go on, so we're right here in the gym. I'm glad we had a good place to play.
Prior to the show, Mr. Sinise met Fort Stewart's commanding general, Major General John Murray, and then after the show, he spent a few minutes talking to Gold Star family members.
I spent a fair amount of time with our Gold Star families, you know, wherever I go, especially at military bases like Fort Stewart, Fort Benning, lots of places like that. You'll have a number, unfortunately, of Gold Star families. So we just try to do everything we can for them. It's something that's very important. We can't, you know, life goes on for everybody, but for them, you know, they never stop missing their loved one, and you know, we can help them through that if we make sure that they know that we care about them and we're grateful and we appreciate their sacrifices.
Reporting for 1st Armored Brigade, I'm Army Sergeant Russell Tuff.
In June, the 3rd Infantry Division held a retirement ceremony for their most recent Division Command Sergeant Major, Ed Watson, at Cottrell Field. Command Sergeant Major served 34 years in the Army.
The 3rd Infantry Division bid farewell to retiring Command Sergeant Major Ed Watson. He was the Division Command Sergeant Major for 3rd ID from 2011 to 2014. Command Sergeant Major Watson also served at the Marne Division with 2nd Brigade's 3rd Squadron 7th U.S. Cavalry, as well as the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team. Reporting for the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, I'm Sergeant Stephen Dornbos.
Thank you for watching the first half of our special edition of the Marne Report.
You can view our Marne reports online at vimeo.com/3rd-ID or on YouTube at the 3rd Infantry Division channel. Happy New Year. Rock of the Marne.